Hi, I'm Eric with Primus, and in this video I'd like to talk a little bit about how to troubleshoot your Expedition stove. The first thing you need to do is, when you have a problem, try to identify what the problem is or where it's coming from. So for example, if you see a leak, don't just settle with the leak, try to find exactly where that is. So dry it up and see where it comes from, because usually that is connected to the part that actually has a problem. In the valve here, for example, there is an O-ring. There's also O-rings in the pump, towards the bottle, in the swivel connection, and so on. So try to find where it is, and then which place the most likely the leakage is at. If there is something coming out from the side of the jet or the hose connection and so on, it may be that you just need to tighten this brass-to-brass connection to make a seal connection. If you have a problem with a weak stove, if you lack effect in the stove, there might be some different things that could happen. But one thing is that you may not pump enough, so you have too little pressure in the bottle. So if you see a problem like this, start with just pumping at least twice the amount as you usually do. As you consume the fuel in the bottle, you have more and more air, and the more air you have in the bottle, the more you need to pump to get the same pressure and get an efficient burning in the burner. So pump more. If you have a flame that is flickering and so on, it might be the same problem, that it's pressure related. It could also be that you have not preheated the stove enough. So also try to let out more fuel and let it prime for a longer period of time. Two simple tricks that could solve a lot of problems. So if you find that you have a problem getting pressure into the bottle itself, it could be a couple of things with the pump. Start by opening up like this and check the leather gasket at the end. This leather gasket should be soft and flexible, and if it is dry and stiff, then you can use the silicone grease tube that comes with the stove and grease it up again so you get it to this state. Usually a dried out leather gasket can easily be fixed, as seldomly you need to exchange it. When you put it in, make sure to widen it a little bit so you make sure that it is connecting to the outer walls of the cylinder, and put it back in. If you notice that there is liquid fuel coming into the pump cylinder, it may be the non-return valve in the bottom here. So open it up and get the parts out. This little brass cone, make sure that it's the correct way. Check the O-ring, that it's no debris or dirt on it, and that it's in healthy condition. Put it back in with the O-ring towards the top of the pump, and then with the spring and the cap in place. When you pump, you should hear a fizzing sound coming out from the pump. If you have a low effect, or maybe you don't get any fuel out at all, the most common place is the jet. So take away the flame spreader, like this, and then you can access the jet nipple inside. Use your multi-tool to get the jet nipple out. And once out, use the cleaning needle on the multi-tool to clean the hole in the middle of the jet nipple, like such. Rotate the jet a little bit for each time, so you scrape the surface on the edge and have the needle a little bit in a tilted angle. So you make sure to scrape the side as well. You can hold the jet up and look through it towards a light source to see that there is no debris or anything left in the jet. And then you just put it back together. Even though the jet is the most narrow part of the whole system and the most common place for blockage to happen, if this doesn't help, it might be somewhere else. What I recommend to do then is to do a systematic search and take the stove apart and then start from the fuel source and add one part at a time and check. So to start with, we take the hose away, use the multi-tool, to disconnect it like this. The next step is to take the spindle off. Again, the multi-tool is helpful for this, and rotate the whole valve. To get it all out. In this case, I like to use a gas canister for convenience. So start by attaching the gas canister to the hose itself. Open the valve to hear that gas is coming out through this side. The next thing is that you connect the stove again. And do the same thing. And you hear that gas is coming through. The next step is to attach the spindle to the stove again. And with that in, you test the function again the same way. And by adding one part at a time like this, when you see a decrease in gas flow or a complete stop, you just attach the part that has the problem. So try to clean that and you hopefully find what's wrong with the stove. To make sure that you have a great functioning stove, it's good to do the cleaning of the jets and so on regularly, even if you don't see problems right away. And we have a lot of spare parts for the stoves, and there are things that could be really good to have with you. We have a couple of service kits. We have one service kit that is for the stove itself, with the most common parts for the stove, and then we have one service kit for the pump, with the most common parts that breaks for those. And depending on what type of expedition or adventure you're out on, you might need different levels of preparations. Sometimes you might need to have an extra hose with you, or an extra pump, or in some cases, maybe an extra set of stove altogether. And if you're on an expedition with many people, then you might have a couple of sets of stoves with you anyway. So in that way, you can secure that you always have something that is functioning, and maybe change parts between the stoves to get at least one set functioning. Don't forget that if you have an expedition stove, included in that purchase is also our expedition service. So if you have a problem and need some spare parts, we will send you those spare parts for free all over the world. But to have an extra set of spare parts with you, that could actually fix your problem directly when you're out in the wilderness, and we can't really help you with that. There will always be some shipping time and so on. But when you get home, just contact us and we will get you the spare parts so you can replace the ones you used.